Hello, and thanks for tuning in. This video is going to demonstrate how to winterize the fresh water lines inside a 2019 Rockwood Signature Series trailer. Before I begin, I want to thank everyone out there who has helped me with this learning experience. This thanks goes out to everyone who has taken the time to create and post videos on YouTube, and to those who have taken the time to answer the copious amounts of questions I had posted over the years on various forums. This video, in essence, is my thanks and pay it forward contribution. Before I decided to take on a trailer DIY winterization project, I did a lot of research on the subject and asked a lot of questions. It was unfortunate that I wasn't able to find any demonstrative videos regarding my specific trailer. However, there is plenty of content out there, and it helped fill in those many blank questions I had at the start. It is always good to have someone available or nearby to help with the process of winterizing. In some cases, schedules don't always align, and you may need to go it alone. Either way, the best piece of advice I can give is to research and spend as much time as you can to learn about your trailer. If owning a trailer is a new experience for you, there's no such thing as a bad question. After all, it's an expensive investment, and you'll want to make sure you get the most out of it for as long as possible. If there is something about your trailer you're not sure about or don't understand, join a few trailer forums, post some questions, and jump on YouTube and research videos. There's a wealth of information out there to help you get that trailer ready to stand the test of winter. Additionally, if you just purchased a brand new trailer from a reputable dealer, they should be able to help you with answering all and any questions you have. It may be helpful to do a bit of research beforehand so that you are all prepared to get all the information you need in case the dealership doesn't cover everything. In this situation, more information than needed is most certainly better than not enough. Once you feel that you've gathered enough information, if you kept notes, make an outline of the steps needed to complete the endeavor. I had written up and printed out a few pages containing information and steps as a guide. I've had to make a few adjustments since. As a refresher, I always refer to them at the end of each season to touch up on some of the details. If you're going to winterize for the first time, make sure to set aside 3 to 5 hours. You may not need that much time, however, mistakes and stuff sometimes happen, and you'll want to make sure you have that extra time, as a safety, to complete the job. In addition, if you are planning to do this alone, it may be helpful to have your cell phone nearby with access to the internet, just in case you need to make a call to someone or research something to get information in a pinch. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention, at this point you would have already run the black water flush, if you have one, and then pulled the black and gray water, emptying both holding tanks out completely one final time for the season. Additionally, if you are using city water and have a city water connection set up, remove the fresh water hose from the fresh intake connection and store the fresh water hose away in a good dry place for the winter. If you don't use city water and must use the fresh water tank, make sure it's completely drained. In this video, I do not demonstrate how to empty a fresh water tank, as I always use a city water hookup. If you need more information about draining the freshwater tank for your trailer, please consult your owner's manual, research that information online, or touch base with your dealership. One more final note, the steps in this video demonstrate how I manage the winterization of my particular trailer, which is a 2019 Rockwood Signature Series 8327S. Not all trailers are the same or have the same features. Thus, there may be some areas that may not apply to your trailer. However, I'm hopeful that this demonstration will be helpful to your research and winterization endeavors. I break up the process of winterizing into 3 phases. The first phase is to empty out the hot water tank. The second phase is draining out all the water from the lines. And finally, the third phase is to fill the water lines with appropriate trailer grade antifreeze meant for winterizing fresh water lines. Okay, so let's get started. It's early October and my resort park is about a week away from closing, and I usually take the opportunity to winterize the trailer around this time of year. And also, it's our Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. Early fall weather in Ontario, Canada is usually superb for this type of job. Today it's clear skies and roughly 20 degrees Celsius, and for my American friends, that's around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too cold, not too hot. The first step is to make sure you turn the hot water off. If you are just getting around to it, make sure you wait around 45 minutes to an hour before you attempt to empty the tank. Some tanks may not require that much time, however, it's better to err on the lengthier time to allow the water to cool and avoid getting burned.
Step 2, access the hot water tank on the outside and use the release valve to release the pressure first. Do not take off the bolt because it'll shoot out like a bullet. You want to make sure the pressure is released. Nice and easy. And that's usually a good sign that its pressure is all gone, and now it's a good time to take off the plug. For the plug, I'm using this size. Basically going to remove the plug from the hot water tank and let the water flow out. So now that the water's all drained, I'm going to connect my compressor to the water intake and push out whatever is left in there. My compressor hose connecting it to the water intake. Pretty much means that there's no water left in the tank, so that's good. That's what I want. The next thing I can do is turn off the water bypass to the water tank. So I've taken the access panel off to the hot water tank so I can access the bypass switches. So the first thing you want to do is turn off the hot and turn off the cold, and then flip the bypass switch so that when you run the antifreeze through the line, it bypasses and goes through. And it prevents these two, turn it off to prevent any antifreeze from going into your hot water tank here and here. So now that the bypasses have been all switched, I'm ready to put the anode rod back in. And as you can see, this is the anode rod that I used all year for most of the spring and summer. I'm going to put it back in. I do have a new one, and I'll put it in the beginning of the season next year, but this one can stay in. I would refrain using the new one. I made a mistake one time putting the new one in, only to find out that calcium deposits built up on the rod on the new one over the winter time. So yeah, so I'm just going to reuse this one, and then next year I'll swap them out. Just all I have to do is put it in by hand. And just do it hand tight. Pretty much good enough, I think. And that's it. And that's pretty much it for the hot water tank. And the next step will be to pressurize the lines and drain all the water out. Just get this close up. I had to stop the video because I needed two hands to get this tipped up. It's a little stubborn, but anyways, once you twist it over, flip it up, and that's it. And that's it for the water heater. So now the next step is to pressurize the lines. Turn this on. inside kitchen. Next we're going to do the inside kitchen. Turn the hot on first. Get that all drained out. We'll do the cold next. Go with the cold. This thing will be the toilet. Got it flush. That's a good indication that it's empty. And that's pretty much it. The only thing I have to do is the low pressure water line.
Unfortunately, my film crew quit, i.e. my iPhone had issues during the part where I discussed the low water drain. The remainder of this film, however, was captured on my GoPro. I was quite lucky to have it on hand. The low water drain on my trailer is on the same side of the entrance. It's about 10 to 12 feet over to the right of the entrance, under the trailer within arm's reach. Before you begin to remove the caps, make sure to turn that compressor off first. Otherwise, you may find that the caps will fly off uncontrollably. Once the compressor is turned off, slowly turn the caps slightly until the pressure is released. Once the caps are off, run the compressor for about 10 seconds to get all the water to flush out. Ultimately, you'll want to make sure that you have all the water drained out of the system to avoid line damage over the winter. Once complete, turn the compressor off and place the caps back on the low drains. The last and final step of phase 2 will be to remove the freshwater filter canister, dispose the filter, and put the canister back in place.
So in order to take the filter off, I need this tool. I first got to loosen it, and now that it's loosened, I just have to turn it this way with my hand to take it off. And then put it back on before I run the antifreeze through. Now the canister is back on. I had to hand tighten it. It's a little tricky to get in. You have to make sure the threads are lined up, and otherwise, you might strip it or something. So now that's nice and snug. I'm going to use this tool, this handy dandy tool, to tighten it up, and then that'll be it. So now, next thing I gotta do is flip this switch that way. So now it's facing up, and that should bypass the antifreeze into the hose. So the next step will be to run the antifreeze through the lines. This is the antifreeze that I bought. You can buy these at Walmart, Canadian Tire, pretty much anywhere, and that's what I'll be using. So the next step is to connect the water hose to the intake. I'm going to turn this to winterize, and then take this end of the hose, feed it through, So now that we have the pump switched over, the canister dealt with, I'm going to turn on the pump the antifreeze. And in a second, should start seeing the antifreeze pulling up. See that the line is now drawing the antifreeze. Wait for the pump to turn off. Fully pressurize the lines. To the sink here. Do it for hot and cold. Hot and cold.
Hey there, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. While I was editing this video, I found that there were areas in which I could have explained each of the demonstrations with more detail. However, being a one-man crew with just two hands, there's only so much one can do. I will put out a similar video next spring, demonstrating how I unwinterize my trailer. In the meantime, please have a happy and safe winter and take care.